in an age of exquisite honesty, at least in theory. Every slogan promises transparency, every profile boasts authenticity, every company swears that its people are its truth. Yet the air feels curiously edited, as though sincerity itself had undergone light retouching. Ours is a century allergic to science and silence, but terrified of candor. We have learned to speak beautifully without ever saying precisely what we mean. Every compliment comes proofread, every apology arrives pre approved. We have, in effect, become fluent in the half truth, the civilized dialect of survival. Welcome to Anthropologically Yours, and today we will be talking about the age of subtle lies, why we are addicted to the half truths. Once, lying was a moral event. Now it is an ergonomic one, small, adaptive, designed to make modern life more comfortable. We soften opinions to keep peace. We trim feelings to keep friends. We sand down convictions to keep employment. The straight truth, in its raw form, simply doesn't fit the office, or the dinner conversation, or the internet. It takes up too much space. Anthropologists might call this refinement, economists would call it pricing. Honesty hasn't vanished, it has merely become expensive. In a culture of constant exposure, sincerity costs attention, and attention is the last scarce commodity. I first noticed the new etiquette of deceit during my years in corporate life. People no longer lied to mislead, they lied to belong. The seasoned executive who claimed enthusiasm for yet another transformational initiative didn't believe his own words, but he believed in payroll. The intern praising a manager's vision was only acknowledging the unwritten rule of employment. Optimism is cheaper than dissent. We once faked pleasure for romance. Now we fake it for collaboration. There's a certain grace to the performance. These are not grand falsehoods, but delicate ones, designed to preserve harmony in crowded systems. We lie kindly, professionally, sustainably. We call it alignment, we call it culture. What it really is choreography, the social dance that prevents collision. In older societies, people lied to conceal sin. In ours, they lie to signal virtue. The modern moral vocabulary, empathy, inclusivity, compassion, they make wonderful theater but difficult conversation. We curate our decency like a wardrobe, changing tone to match the climate. To disagree is to endanger the outfit. Social media turns this politeness into another spectacle. We have all learned to caption our contradictions. The activist posts luxury, the entrepreneur quotes mindfulness between flights, the lover declares self love while refreshing the view count. The difference between hypocrisy and branding has become purely aesthetic. And why not? Capitalism long ago realized that moral performance sells better than moral effort. The language of ethics became a design choice. Transparency now comes in premium packaging. Authenticity has its own subscription model. The truth stripped of marketing simply cannot compete. We are not liars in the old sense, we are curators of perception. The half truth has evolved from sin into skill, from deception into diplomacy. Children once learned please and thank you, now they learn tone and optics. Our ancestors hid their scandals. We air our out artfully these days, knowing that confession earns more engagement than concealment. The anthropologist in me finds this evolution magnificent. We have created a moral economy in which reputation is the principal currency and tact that preferred form of tax evasion. It is no accident that the most praised modern virtue is being nice. Niceness is simply dishonesty that moisturizes well. Yet, beneath this politeness runs exhaustion. To live by half truth is to live in constant translation, converting impulse into diplomacy, conviction into content. We are always rehearsing, even in our own minds. The brain keeps editing its diary for potential publication. Every now and then, however, the mask slips in private. Over late wine, a colleague admits that the campaign she called purpose driven was pure survival. A friend whispers that his growth journey is just fatigue rebranded. These small confessions remind us that the instinct of honesty has not died, it merely hides behind professional lighting. Advertising learned the art of the half truth long before the rest of us. In the 1960s, when America was learning color television and confidence, Madison Avenue discovered a new form of seduction, understatement. Volkswagen didn't boast speed or power. It advertised think small, and the world listened. I remember a man once I worked with in Delhi who adored that ad. He wasn't a car person, he was an accountant, but he liked the idea that a small car could make him look clever. He used to say it's a car for people who read. That was the genius of Volkswagen. Humility sold intelligence. It told the consumer, you are too sophisticated for the obvious. Humility became luxury. Soon, every brand wanted its own moral costume. In the 1970s, Coca-Cola promised to teach the world to sing, not sell sugar, but solidarity. An ambassador I worked with still remembers that ad. He said it made him cry. It was the middle of the Cold War, and for a moment people wanted to believe that a beverage could bridge nations. The drink didn't change, only the story did. We weren't buying refreshment, we were buying reassurance. By the 1980s, even perfume had found politics. Calvin Klein told an entire generation to smell not like roses but like rebellion. I once asked a creative director why those ads were always half dressed and slightly sad. He said, because happiness doesn't sell, aspiration does. The product was no longer soap or soda, it was the self purified, aspirational, beautifully dishonest. Then came the era of authenticity, the most rehearsed theater of all. Nike's Just Do It sounded spontaneous, but it was born in a boardroom. It wasn't a call to exercise, it was a call to identity. I spoke about this in my previous episodes as well, in a different light. You didn't need to win, you only needed to look as though you might. Courage sold better than competence. By the 1990s, virtue itself went retail. Ben & Jerry's moralized dessert. Each flavor came with a social cause. The Body Shop sold compassion by the ounce, ethical lotion for the anxious conscience. Around the millennium, Apple invited us to think different, a command masquerading as liberation. We obeyed gladly. queuing overnight for the next symbol of rebellion manufactured in bulk. And then came the social networks, those great laboratories of curated sincerity. Facebook promised connection, Instagram promised reality, and both delivered cinema, fiction. I have friends who post about burnout with ring lights and brand tags. It isn't hypocrisy, it's a habit. They are simply doing what every campaign taught us to do: turn vulnerability into visibility. Each decade merely changed the costume of deceit. What began as advertising ended as anthropology. Global branding trained us to narrate our own half truths with confidence. The LinkedIn headline is only the corporate air of the Coca Cola jingle. The influencer's confession is the daughter of the Nike slogan. Honesty has become a style guide. Even truth needs art direction now. We live now in the aftermath of that schooling. Every resume is an ad campaign, every relationship a limited edition collaboration. The half truth keeps the world polite enough to function and interesting enough to spend. Every moral outrage has a logo. And nowhere do we lie with such precision as in our private lives. We tell our partners that everything is fine when the silence between sentences has already thickened into distance. We call exhaustion just a phase, indifference a routine, desire a work stress. These are not betrayals, they are negotiations. We lie because the full truth would detonate the ordinary peace that keeps the house standing. Even love, the supposed sanctuary of honesty, has its own stage directions. What to say to keep the evening calm? How long to hold the gaze before it asks question? It is astonishing how much affection depends on performance. We don't lie to each other, we lie for each other so that the illusion of continuity may live another day. And yet, something in us still aches for the uncurated sentence. We scroll past perfection and stop at imperfection. The same way we once lingered over freckles in black and white portraits. The hunger for authenticity survives precisely because it is so rare. The truth in the 21st century is luxury goods, produced in limited quantities only, priced for those who can afford. Consequence. Sometimes I imagine a future archaeologist sifting through our archives, billions of posts, captions, and corporate manifestos. She will not find villains, she will find stylists, people who lied but beautifully to keep civilization charming. Perhaps that is our final sophistication. We have learned to polish deception until it gleams as courtesy. We call it empathy, branding, diplomacy. Whatever the name, it keeps the machinery running and the dinner conversation civil. It is deceit with social graces. So next time you hear a company promise transparency or a lover promise honesty, smile softly. They mean it, just not entirely. They are speaking in the global language of survival. Half truth, tastefully told. This is Anthropologically Yours. I am Rashmi, and if truth still matters to you, keep a small piece of it unmarketed. Because in an age of subtle lies, the only honesty left is the kind that never needed an audience. Thank you.